Marjorie Taylor Greene launches articles of impeachment against multiple officials in the Biden administration. And we talk about elder abuse going on in D.C. and some racist graffiti in Oklahoma. I'm your host, Hyde. This is Hide and Seek Media. Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the live stream. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. If you are already subscribed here on YouTube, head on over to Rumble and subscribe to that channel as well. YouTube has some censorship rules that I'm not a fan of, so anytime I want to put up a video that I don't think will make it up on YouTube, head on over to Rumble. So if you want to see some uncensored content and some videos about stuff that you can't see here on YouTube, head on over to Rumble and subscribe to my channel over there as well. And if you like all of that content and you want more, head on over to Locals and become a member of my community. With your premium membership, not only will you get access to all of the videos I do on YouTube and Rumble, but you will also get exclusive content that I make only for Locals. So head on over there and become a member today. But I wanted to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene jumping off with a week of impeachments last week. And the fact that she has launched 5 different articles of impeachment against the Attorney General for DC, the U.S. Attorney General for DC, the FBI Director, the Homeland Security Director, the U.S. Attorney General, and the President of the United States. All 5 of those people now have articles of impeachment drawn up against them from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, I don't know that we're going to see a lot of movement on these impeachments outside of that. You know, they'll probably pass the House because the Republicans own the House, but I don't think they're going to make it through the Senate. I don't think anyone's actually going to get convicted of impeachment. Like, it's just not, I don't think it's going to go very far. But I want to know what you guys think about that too. So make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about these articles of impeachment, because I don't know. Like, I'm skeptical, but I'm still holding out hope, right? And then, of course, we've seen the horrible elder abuse going on in Washington, D.C. right now, but from Dianne Feinstein to John Fetterman to Joe Biden. All of these people are clearly without their faculties, and yet they are still in office. That's a huge problem. That's a huge problem. And the fact that the Democratic Party is propping these people up and forcing them to stay in office, basically, is what I consider elder abuse. I don't know about you guys, but like I said, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about that. Are they being abused? Is the Democratic Party taking it too far with these elderly senators and president? Like, should we be worried about their coherentness, right? Their ability to make a coherent statement and think clearly and express themselves clearly, because politicians need to be able to do that. And if we have multiple politicians who cannot do that, then we have a problem and we need to take care of it. But before I jump into all of that, I came across this story. It's a little old, about a year old maybe now, but it was brought to my attention because there are certain people who don't feel safe driving through this community. So I wanted to bring it up. And it's this first story I want to talk about right here. It's a neighborhood, a small community in Oklahoma called Rush Springs, where a property owner has displayed hateful remarks on his building. There are some swastikas on there. I'm going to show you some pictures here in a minute. But a lot of people are claiming that they don't feel safe driving through Rush Springs or going into Rush Springs because of the racism displayed in that town. And I want to know what you guys think. I mean, because I'm on the fence. I don't know that I would call it racism. Okay, but I want to know what you guys think about this too, right? So in this story here, It says, a building in Rush Springs spewing hate with its banners and signs is causing outrage among neighbors. It's covered in offensive drawings and writings across its walls and even shows swastikas. Now, it does show swastikas, and I will admit that since the Nazis took on that symbol, it is a symbol of hate. But when I show you the pictures, you may have a different idea of what this man is really spewing, what kind of hatred he is spewing. But they go on to say, News 9 tried talking to the man who owns the property, but declined to do an interview, yelling, fake news and you guys are evil. The signs have many in Rush Springs concerned. A number of residents say this is a good community and they want the displays removed. The Rush Springs police chief says he has received complaints about this before, but there's nothing they can do. He says it's private property and this is a case of freedom of speech. Those in town say this all started a few years ago and the displays have just kept growing. Several of those people we spoke to in the city declined to go on camera, fearing for their safety. Now, I want to bring up these pictures because I want to know where their fear lies. So there was this tweet from somebody who tweeted out photos of this building in Rush Springs. And sorry, my computer is going to take a minute here to load up, but let me get these photos pulled up and I will show you what I'm talking about. Because I don't know that I call it racist. You know, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard, right? And from what I can tell from these photos, I don't necessarily see any one particular race being attacked. Right? So it says, it's unreal how unsafe I feel in Oklahoma, according to this tweet. Right now, I'm going to pull up this photo. This is one of the main photos here that, if it'll pull up, I'm sorry, my computer is a piece of junk. That's why I need your guys' support so I can update all this stuff. But look at this photo. It says, abortion, the spilling of God's innocent baby's blood, burn, loot, and murder for BLM. Right? It says here, how to kill God's black Negroes, vote demon rats, and join PP, which stands for Planned Parenthood. Thou shall not kill. Access to crystal meth, call Hunter Biden. Now, so far, I haven't seen anything racist. I mean, unless I'm blind and I don't see it. Like, because how to kill God's black Negroes, vote demon rats, and join Planned Parenthood. I mean, this to me seems like a giant. Sorry, my allergies are kicking in, my eyes itching. But to me, this seems like a giant protest against Democrats and abortion, not necessarily racism. Right? Like abortion, the spilling of, Democrats who are the real terrorists. Democrats kill God's babies. Like, see, this is all about abortion. I don't see anything relatively racist in these. Now, in this photo here, if you zoom in, there it looks like it's a quote from Adolf Hitler with a picture of a rifle and some swastikas or whatever. But the quote itself says something along the lines of, in order for a country to control its people, it must disarm them, or something along those lines. So yes, the swastikas, the Adolf Hitler name, I can see where you could construe that as being racist. But some people think that the word, or that the phrase MAGA is racist. So I don't necessarily know that I would deem this as racism, even though that's what it's being called, right? This to me seems like somebody who adamantly is against abortion. And from the video clip in the news story that they have, it's only like a minute long, but in that clip, the reporter talks to the owner of this property, who says he's part black and that this is about the killing of babies. So I don't necessarily know where the racism comes in here, but I understand how fragile people of today's sensibilities are. Do I think this is extreme? Of course. This is by far extreme. I'm not going to say it's not. But this to me seems like a abortion protest and a protest against Democrats and Joe Biden. I don't really see the racism, but maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the comments what I'm missing, if this is really racist and not an abortion protest. Because I don't understand, right? But a lot of people have been bringing this up and talking about it, and because I live here in Oklahoma, I wanted to point this out because I don't see the racism. I see the abortion protest. I see the protest against Democrats. I see the protest against Joe Biden. I don't see the racism, but maybe you guys can point it out to me, right? But I want to know how this is any different, right? This protest against abortion, right? I want to know how this is any different than what happened to the Supreme Court justices when they were deciding to overturn Roe versus Wade, and they had hundreds of protesters outside their homes protesting their decision, which is illegal, by the way. Any parading or picketing outside of a judge's home or courthouse to influence a decision is illegal. And that's exactly what that protest was meant to do, even though it was peaceful, according to Jen Psaki. We all remember that, right? Jen Psaki defended, remember this? She defended their protests, calling it peaceful, peaceful to date, right? Defending the illegal actions of these people. But yet, and she was the press secretary for the president of the United States and the White House at the time she made these comments. It wasn't like she was on MSNBC and just some kind of political pundit. She was the mouthpiece for the White House and said that illegal protests in front of Supreme Court justices' houses were okay. But people find this guy's abortion protest racist. I don't know. Like I said, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Is it racist that, he's part black and has a problem with Planned Parenthood and Democrats supporting the abortion of black babies? I don't necessarily know that that's racist. I don't see the racism in it, but maybe one of you guys can point it out to me. But I wanted to jump over to this next story. Marjorie Taylor Greene launching multiple articles of impeachment, because that to me is a huge story that I think is not going to go anywhere, right? So the Hill says here, Marjorie Taylor Greene moves to impeach FBI director Chris Wray and U.S. attorney for D.C. What's his name? Michael Graves, right? So they report Marjorie Taylor Greene said on Tuesday that she will move to introduce articles of impeachment against FBI Director Chris Wray and Matthew Graves, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. Greene alleged in a release that Wray has turned the FBI into President Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland's personal police force. She said the FBI has intimidated, harassed, and entrapped U.S. citizens who have been deemed enemies of the Biden regime. Now, it's not just Christopher Wray and the U.S. Attorney for D.C. She escalated it by filing articles of impeachment against Merrick Garland as well. Not only Merrick Garland, but Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and President Biden. President Biden for the failure to lead the country and secure our borders. Secretary Mayorkas for failing to secure our borders and allowing the influx of millions of illegal immigrants into our country. Christopher Wray for weaponizing the FBI. Merrick Garland for weaponizing the Department of Justice. and the U.S. Attorney for D.C. for not prosecuting crimes in the city of D.C. All of these people have failed to do their job, have failed to uphold their oath to the Constitution, and as a result, deserve to be impeached. I 100% agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on this. Now, do I think these impeachments are going to go anywhere? I don't think so. I think we may get a sacrificial lamb. The U.S. District Attorney for D.C. may be the only one out of all of these people that actually get convicted, because they gotta throw some meat to the wolves, right? You can't impeach the president. We can't have that, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, or according to the Democrats, right? We can't impeach the president because he's above reproach, and they won't impeach Merrick Garland because the Senate is 50-50. And so I doubt any of these impeachments make it past the Senate. I'm pretty sure at least 3 of them will make it past the House. I don't think that any of them will make it past the Senate, to be honest with you. I think this is all for show. I think this is a way for Marjorie Taylor Greene to rile up her base and to rile up the MAGA, America First base, and to get them engaged. But I don't think this is going to go anywhere. And the problem with that is when it doesn't go anywhere, people are going to lose faith in the Republican Party again. That's the way it is. And that's what's going to happen. We're going to look at it and go, oh, yeah, okay, they're doing great. And then nothing comes of it. And then we're like, oh, same old Republican Party, all show and no follow through, no results. It's all jab, 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 talk, 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 talk. Never any definite results. Never any substantial results. And that, to me, is like the biggest problem with this. But let's check out a couple of these articles and find out what they got to say, right? Because I think ultimately we're going to see some decent investigations come out of this, some hard lines of questioning, but at the end, we're not going to see any impeachments. So here's this story from the Daily Wire. MTG escalates clash with DOJ, moves to impeach Garland. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene took another step forward, cleaning house of the Department of Justice on Wednesday, seeking to remove from office another high-ranking official she views as politically corrupt. The Congresswoman, sometimes called MTG for short, announced on Wednesday that she is moving to impeach Attorney General Merrick Garland. The move comes one day after Greene introduced similar articles of impeachment against FBI Director Christopher Wray and Matthew Graves, a U.S. attorney based in Washington, D.C. Since Merrick Garland took over as Attorney General in March of 2021, he has completely weaponized the Department of Justice, Greene said in a statement. The politicization of the DOJ has resulted in the persecution of the left's political enemies and a two-tiered justice system. The articles of impeachment accuse Garland of failing to uphold his oath and losing the trust of the U.S. citizens to faithfully execute the laws of the United States without partisan bias. Like the other cases, Greene's bid to unseat Garland faces long odds. Even if the House, which Republicans narrowly control, impeached Garland, a conviction would be unlikely in the Democrat-controlled Senate. Now in her second term in the House, Greene previously introduced articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden and co-sponsored articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, efforts which have not been successful. In her latest articles of impeachment, Greene accused Garland of using the FBI as a federal police force to punish or intimidate anyone who questions or opposes the current regime. She listed several specific grievances against the Attorney General, including the alleged persecution of former President Donald Trump, now a 2024 presidential candidate facing criminal investigation by federal investigators and others. Greene, a vocal advocate for January 6 defendants, also faulted Garland for going after Americans participating in a political protest. Merrick Garland has weaponized the DOJ against Joe Biden's political enemies. He's targeted parents who are concerned about their children's education, targeted Christians and pro-life activists, and raided the home of a president. He must be impeached, Greene said in a tweet. The DOJ released a statement on Tuesday defending Wray and Graves as dedicated public servants who have committed their careers to keeping our country safe. The Daily Wire reached out to the agency for comment on the articles of impeachment against Garland. Okay, so she basically says that Merrick Garland has weaponized the DOJ against political opponents and people who don't agree with the Biden administration. That seems pretty fair considering what we've seen happen to parents being called domestic terrorists for going to school board meetings and questioning the curriculum of the school. They even sent FBI agents to these school board meetings to write down license plate numbers of the parents so they could do full investigations and background checks into these people. That is politically corrupt. And it's not just the FBI that's doing this, right? And that's why she filed articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden and Secretary Mayorkas, because the border is non-existent at this point. The southern border is non-existent. After Title 42 went away, we saw thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants just flood the border, coming through all the holes that could have been patched up by Trump's border wall that Biden didn't finish, and that the Democrats fought hard to keep from actually being implemented. Now, the reason why I don't think any of these impeachments are going to go anywhere is because of the history of impeachments in this country, right? If we pull it up, and I went to the House website, right? The U.S. House website, and I pulled up this, right? And it says, the use of impeachment. The House has initiated impeachment proceedings more than 60 times, but fewer than a third of all proceedings have led to full impeachments. So less than 20. Okay. Just 8 individuals, all federal judges, have been convicted and removed from office by the Senate. So we had 60 impeachment, more than 60 times impeachment has been used. Less than a third of that, so less than 20 of them have actually made it to the Senate. And of those, only 8 actually got convicted. Outside of the 15 federal judges impeached by the House, 3 presidents, Andrew Johnson in 1868, William Jefferson, Bill Clinton in 1998, and Donald J. Trump in 2019 and 2021. A cabinet secretary, William Belknap, in 1876, and a U.S. Senator, William Blount of Tennessee, in 1797, have also been impeached. In only 3 instances, all involving federal judges, has the Senate taken the additional step of barring them from ever holding office, a future federal office. Blount's impeachment trial, the first ever conducted, established the principle that members of Congress and Senate were not civil officers under the Constitution, and accordingly, they could be removed from office by a 2/3 vote for expulsion by their respective chambers. Blount, who had been accused of instigating an insurrection of American Indians to further British interests in Florida, was not convicted by the state, but the Senate did expel him. Other impeachments have featured judges taking the bench when drunk or profiting from their position. The trial of President Johnson, however, focused on whether the president could remove cabinet members without obtaining Congress's approval. Johnson's acquittal firmly set the precedent, debated from the beginning of the nation, that the president may remove appointees even if they require Senate confirmation to hold office. So we can see that impeachment proceedings normally don't lead to conviction. So I really doubt that it's going to lead to a conviction in these impeachment proceedings. And yes, like I said, it does show a sign of strength, right? So that it does show that the Republicans are trying to fight back. Problem is, there's not enough America First MAGA style Republicans in the party. There's still a lot of rhinos, still a lot of establishment Republicans who aren't going to fall in line with this ideology and this way of thinking, and who are going to protect the establishment before fixing the country, right? These articles of impeachment fix the country. They get rid of bad leaders. They get rid of people who are out to further their political agenda versus making the country better. And we don't need people like that in the office. Speaking of people we don't need in office, have you guys seen what's going on with Dianne Feinstein and John Fetterman? Well, we've all seen what's going on with President Biden. I mean, that they can't hide that anymore, between the notes and the getting lost on stage and forgetting his speeches and all of that. We understand Joe Biden has serious dementia and don't know if he's going to make it to the end of his term. We all assume he's going to make it. He's made it this far, so now we're assuming they're going to keep him propped up until the election because they got to run him again. Or he wants to run again, but I don't think the Democratic Party wants to run Joe Biden again, even though he's their best option for control, right? But I found this story from The Guardian talking about Dianne Feinstein, and it kind of raised some questions for me. It says, Dianne Feinstein, oldest serving senator, says she has not been gone despite absence. The 89-year-old legislator insisted she had been working when questioned by reporters on Tuesday after being gone for 3 months. Okay? She was gone for 3 months and doesn't realize it. Doesn't realize that she wasn't making decisions. She wasn't voting on bills. She wasn't at the Senate. She wasn't doing her job as a legislator for 3 months. She doesn't realize it. She thinks nothing is different. Nothing is wrong. Everything is good. Completely oblivious to what's going on. And then go on to say in this article, a bizarre exchange with reporters has raised new questions about the return of Dianne Feinstein, California's senior senator who has been absent from Washington for months due to shingles, according to reports. Right? Jim Newell, a reporter for Slate, ran into Feinstein shortly after the 89-year-old lawmaker voted on the Senate floor on Tuesday, when he and another journalist asked Feinstein how she has been received by her colleagues since returning to Washington. Feinstein appeared to insist that she had never left. I haven't been gone. I've been working, Feinstein told Newell and another reporter, according to a Slate article published on Tuesday. She was asked if she meant she had been working remotely, to which Feinstein responded, no, I've been here. I've been voting. Please, you either know or you don't know. Wow. That quote right there, you either know or you don't know. Obviously, that's true. But Dianne Feinstein doesn't know. Right? She is one of those people who doesn't know. The exchange comes as Feinstein faces pressure to resign amid questions about her health. Now the oldest serving senator, Feinstein led the effort to pass a landmark 1994 assault weapons ban and fought for a full investigation into the CIA's detention interrogation program. But in recent years, media and Feinstein's colleagues have increasingly questioned her fitness to serve as one of two senators representing the most populous state. Her 3-month absence from the Senate Judiciary Committee this year threatened to derail the confirmation of Joe Biden's judicial nominees at a time when 9% of the district and appellate court seats remain vacant. And while Feinstein has managed to fulfill her committee duties since returning to Washington, questions remain about whether she can effectively govern. A San Francisco Chronicle report last year described Feinstein suffering memory losses and relying heavily on her staff to fulfill job duties. The senator has said the doctors have asked her to maintain a lighter work schedule as she continues to recover, but has provided no details on what that means. She has continually dismissed reporters' questions about her health and workload. Some fellow Democrats, including California Representative Ro Khanna, have called on her to resign. 3 months is a long time to be absent without any clarity, he told Politico. Feinstein said she wouldn't seek re-election in 2024. 3 California representatives, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, and Barbara Lee, have already declared their candidacy. If Feinstein does decide to retire early, it would fall on Gavin Newsom, California's governor, to appoint a temporary replacement. Now, see, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that right there. If any senator or congresswoman or congressman retire early, it shouldn't be up to another elected official to appoint somebody. It should be up to the people to elect a replacement. You hold a special vote, and Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Barbara Lee, who do you want? There you go. Here's your choices. Simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. Still, because Feinstein holds seniority over 30 years of service in the Senate, if she did step down, her replacement would not automatically wield the same authority she does on the Judiciary Committee and the powerful Appropriations Committee. The situation has rankled Californians who had called for Feinstein to step down earlier before this term. Now, and it's not just Feinstein, right? I mean, her forgetting that she was gone for 3 months, that's, being 89 years old and part of the Senate for more than 30 years. I don't hold that against her, right? I hold this against the Democratic Party because people have been calling for her resignation and they have not done anything. They have not pushed her or pressured her into resigning or forced her into resigning so that they can put somebody else in that seat. They've kept her there because she toes the Democrat line. She toes the party line, right? And so they're not going to replace her. What they're going to do, they're going to pump her full of drugs, put some competent people around her, and keep her in office as long as they can. The same thing with Fetterman. Right? I have this story from the Post Millennial that says John Fetterman barely coherent during Senate Banking Committee hearing. And if you watch the video of this, I'm not going to play the video, but if you watch the video, it's pretty bad. The Post Millennial goes on to report here. On Tuesday, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, let's make sure we're closing this stuff, took part in a Senate Banking Committee hearing focusing on the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and seemingly never-ending bailouts provided to the financial institution by the United States. When it came his time to question the witness, Fetterman appeared to struggle through each sentence, the auditory processing issues brought on by his stroke making it hard for him to communicate. Fetterman began by slamming the witness's colleagues for having went to go to Hawaii's after there was a crash of your bank. So I went up to the internet and it's like, it did happen. It did happen. It did happen, he said. It's in Fortune. The second biggest bank in U.S. history collapsed and chose to go to Hawaii on that. I've never been to Hawaii and neither has my family. I guess I've never crashed a bank. When the witness denied allegations that the readiness in which the U.S. bails out big banks was a running joke in the profession, Fetterman replied, "Doesn't it feel that now if a bank really believed that they wouldn't be bailed out, now after bailing them out, these couple of banks, they are going to?" Listen to that. It's so incoherent. Why do we have these incoherent people, Democrats, in office? I remember 1987, 88-ish, right around there when Ronald Reagan was on the decline. His Alzheimer's had kicked in pretty bad, and you could tell he was struggling. He was having a hard time. Democrats, left and right, were screaming that he needed to be, that he needed to step down and let George H.W. Bush take the helm for the remainder of his term. Screaming for it, calling for him to step down out of office because he was incapable of doing his job. But when it's a Democrat, Now, we're going to turn a blind ear and eye to what's going on and let them continue doing what they do because they toe the party line. They'll vote the way we want them to vote. They'll do what we say. And so we got to keep them in office. Right? They go on to report when the witness denied allegations. Well, I'm sorry. Let's see. They go on to report here. Where did I leave off here? Okay. Do you believe that is not outrageous, that no matter how deplorable your performance is, you are made as whole and all by taxpayers? What do yous believe? In a statement to Fox News, Fetterman spokesperson Joe Calvello reiterated that the Pennsylvania senator continues to have auditory processing issues due to the effects of his stroke. If sickos on the internet want to keep making fun of John for recovering from a health challenge, that's between them and their conscience, Calvello said, suggesting that critics are just shouting into the wind. Fetterman also has suffered from a slew of health issues and recently spent months in a hospital after being treated for depression. So, like, I don't know what the deal is with all of this elder abuse going on in DC, outside of the fact that the Democrats just want to try and keep control as much as possible. And the only way to do that is to keep these puppets in place. I think it's shameful. It's wrong. These people ought to be prosecuted for what they're doing to these elderly people. It's embarrassing. But I want to know what you guys think, right? What do you think these guys should be allowed to hold office? Do you think that Feinstein should be allowed to remain a senator? Do you think John Fetterman should be allowed to be a senator still? And do you think Joe Biden should still be allowed to be president? Now, I personally don't want Joe Biden out of office right now because that means we get Kamala Harris. And that woman is dumber than a box of rocks. And it would be even bigger embarrassment if Joe Biden were to leave office for health reasons and we get Kamala Harris. That would be even bigger embarrassment than what we're dealing with right now. But it looks like that could be likely in the next couple of months. I think Joe's announcement to run forced the Democrats' hand. I think the party is going to shuffle Joe away quietly due to some health reasons. Kamala's going to come in, take his position, and run for 2024. That's what I see the Democratic Party doing. But I want to know what you think, right? Do you think that's viable? Do you think they're going to keep pushing Joe Biden again for another 4 years? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think the Democrat Party can handle another 4 years of Joe Biden. But we won't know until we get there, right? So let me know what you guys think about Marjorie Taylor Greene's impeachments, the elder abuse going on in D.C., the quote-unquote racism going on in Oklahoma. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you like this video, you like this stream, make sure to smash that like button. If you don't follow me here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video or go live. If you follow me on YouTube, make sure you follow me on Rumble as well. Head on over to Locals, become a member on my community where you get access to all of that content plus exclusive content found nowhere else. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I'll catch you later. Peace.